Preferential voting is first up as a contender to replace our first-past-the-post voting system. It's been known as the alternative vote, instant runoff, and ranked ballot voting, but it has also been called first-past-the-post on steroids. Let's dig in.
So the alternative voting system is pretty easy to understand. You get to vote for more than just your first choice of candidate. With the options laid out in front of you, you can rank the candidates in the order of your choice. You don't even have to rank them all, or you can even just stick to your one preferred candidate. Once the votes are tallied, the candidate with the least amount of support is eliminated first. This is where the second choice comes in. Officials take the eliminated candidates' ballots, tally the voters' second choices, and add those totals to the remaining contenders' vote count. Consecutive elimination rounds are held until a clear winner emerges, holding a majority of the vote. What's great about this system is that it right off the bat eliminates the minority ruling the majority. The winning candidate will always have the consent of a majority of the voters in their riding. The main allure of the alternative vote is that it's really easy and takes the least amount of change to implement. All we do is add a ranked ballot to our winner-take-all system. This allows us to keep the same number of ridings and number of representatives, maintain local representation, and get rid of the problem of vote splitting. So what would our country look like under an alternative vote system? Well, several models suggest that if the alternative vote had been used in the 2015 election, the Liberals would have won an even larger majority, mostly coming at the expense of conservative seats. Smaller parties and independents ultimately lose more here with their support being transferred to the majors. The winning majority is then only possible due to ignoring the initial wishes of the voters and transferring their vote to that second choice candidate. But let's be real, if we do switch to the alternative vote, then the parties are bound to change too. They will still strive to be that first choice, however now they will have to adapt in order to court a diverse group of voters to make sure that they also play strongly as the second choice. What supporters of AV hope this will result in is a moderation of the major parties. These majors will be vying for the support of each other's members, so the parties that emerge could look very similar except for some key social and economic issues. However, this has not happened in any country that has adopted the alternative vote. Instead, the political divide between left and right has widened, with two major parties dominating the political stage. Minor parties, or parties who are open to compromise, are often sidelined. Power is concentrated in the hands of parties who offer a stark contrast to each other. Essentially, we would have the brutal two-party war that we see in the United States. Each party would be an umbrella to various viewpoints on each respective political side. However, these views would gain little to no traction as they are silenced within the majority. And this two-party system will result in the flip-flop of ruling parties we are so used to seeing and complete erasure election after election of the previous government's advances. There is no progress in this. Canada can't move forward under this bipolar nature. Plus, what about the parties who do not choose to moderate and have quite differing policies? It is my belief that under the alternative vote, such parties will be used as feeder parties by the majors. With a ranked ballot, you can still check them off as your first choice. However, it is even more unlikely now than under first past the post that they will have any representation in the House of Commons. It's like a game of keep away. Sure, they've given you the ability to vote for your chosen candidate without the worry of vote splitting, but in the process have made it that much harder for them to succeed. Again, we are shutting out voices that deserve to be heard. Preferential voting does nothing to correct the distortion between votes and seats and the underrepresentation of national parties compared to regional ones. This system tends to exaggerate the number of seats won by the largest parties, especially in election years where voters have an axe to grind with the incumbents. A prime example of this was in 2015, where the anything but conservative crowd united under the Liberals, giving them a huge majority. And the alternative vote still leaves room for strategic voting. While this will happen less than under first past the post, I would rather we not have to vote strategically at all. So let's see how preferential voting stacks up against my original 4 requirements. As you can see, this system lets you vote your conscience by way of the ranked ballots, and also ensures local representation. However, it exhibits weakness when it comes to my second stipulation that virtually every vote should count. Sure, more votes count here than under first past the post, but a significant number of the population is still lacking representation as it is still a single-member system. And now for the final nail in the coffin. The alternative vote does nothing to ensure that popular support translates to representation. Minor parties are still ignored and used only to funnel votes to the larger parties. This is a compromise on our part in a situation where we shouldn't have to compromise. Again, we are creating the illusion of voter contentment with the larger parties that we know just isn't true.
So we're getting closer to the right voting system for Canada, but we're not there yet. We can do better. Taking that all into account, how likely is the alternative vote to become our new voting system? While the Liberal Party is an advocate of preferential voting, it's not hard to see why. Being the party of the centre, the Liberals are most likely to be the second choice of most NDP voters and of Conservative Party members looking to diminish the chances of a far-left victory. They also have a majority in the Commons and chair the Electoral Reform Committee. Could Justin Trudeau be eyeing the alternative vote as a means of achieving a second majority mandate in 2019? Time will tell. Join me next for a discussion on another voting option, proportional representation.